Hey, so in today's video, I'd like to talk to you about why asking for help is perfectly fine and is often the best thing we can do. Because it's something I've struggled with for years and years, and I'm only kind of just getting out of it. I've got a good solid mindset on it that I've been using for the past little while, but I'm still pretty fresh into this. Either way, let's get right into it. So for years and years, I was struggling with this thing. For years. And it always dragged out my life, I never wanted to ask for help. I always had this mindset that whatever I wanted to do, whatever I wanted to have, I could get it done on my own. Whatever I set my mind to, I can get it done. And that's a good mindset to have, because in a certain way, you don't want to be restricted, and you don't want to not believe in yourself. You don't want to live that kind of way. And it also teaches a good amount about the independence that you can have and just how capable you are as a person. But it comes with a fatal flaw that you often can't recognize when you really do need help. You can't tell when you truly would benefit from help. At least that's how it was for me. Because like I was saying, I had this mindset, I've been doing it for years, and all it really ever did for me, in the worst cases, all it really did for me was make my work or my goal so much longer. It just dragged it out. It made it painful. It made the most painful times, the math classes, my most painful times, math class, drag out so far. I'm just being dramatic, but my point is, doing math class in such a way was not fun. Doing school in that way was not fun. Doing anything in that way, it's never fun. Because, if you're ever trying to build something or learn something or deal with an issue in your life, whatever it may be, if you're not willing to recognize that you're not 100% equipped for absolutely everything, it just drags it on. What would happen for me would be I'd do my math lessons and I wouldn't understand something, so I just hack at it with the resources that I have and the resources I could find. I just hack at it all day, over and over. I just keep going, and eventually I would figure it out. Like I don't think there was many points in time where I wasn't able to figure it out. But the point is not that I figured it out. The point is that it took my whole day. I didn't want to be there doing math lessons for 8 hours. I didn't want to do that. No, or more. I remember there were some days where I'd wake up in the morning. These were sparing days, but I'd wake up in the morning, I'd start math, and I wouldn't get off until 5. And I'd wake up in the morning and be like, I wash up and all that. I get on 9, and then I'm there till 5. I did a full 9 to 5 of just math lessons when I could have instead just asked my teacher for help. That didn't really ever dawn on me, With that mindset, it kind of inhibited the idea of help. It kind of blinded me from telling when I really needed it. Because I figured, I'm capable. I like to do this stuff on my own. I like to be able to figure things out on my own. And I can. And so I would. And I never really thought twice about it. But, God, was I wrong? Because those hours of lessons, I'd ask my teacher for help every now and then when the lessons dragged out into the next day or something, or my questions. The lessons never dragged. It was really just me dragging it on. But I'd ask my teacher, about this question, and you know how fast he'd solve it for me? He'd solve it for me basically instantly. It was really just that simple, right? It was really just as simple as him telling me what it was in just a moment, and then I'm fine. So instead of 8 hours, it would have been an email, and then I just wait for my teacher to respond. But that takes no time. I just write the email. I'm like, hey, I have this issue. I don't understand this, and then and then I just send it, and then wait a couple hours. Sometimes he'd get back pretty quick. But the point is, there was no way that hacking at it for 8 hours straight was easier than just emailing my teacher about my question. I could have done anything else in my time. I could have went on with my life. I could have done a different math question. I could have done a different homework assignment. But no. I'm just going to stick here on this one bit that's getting me. I'm going to stick there for 8 hours. Horrible cycle, honestly. I really hated it. And it was really all my doing. But like I said, I'm in grade 12 now. I'm coming up to be a man, so I don't have the time to be doing that. You know, I don't got the time to be doing all that stuff and hacking at it for 8 hours straight without asking for help. Furthermore, you know, and it was really brought up recently when I was dealing with anxiety. I tried this same method, and you know, I'm getting older. There's more things to worry about. There's more things that happen in life, and when I was dealing with anxiety, there it was like I boxed myself in, I secluded myself, and I tried to figure it out on my own. And you know, for some cases that did work. I mean, when I had like lighter things to worry about later previously in my life, but the one that happened a couple months ago and all that didn't work when I secluded myself. That just made it worse. But it took until my family and friends started to realize and notice what was going on with me and point it out, that it took for that to happen for me to finally realize I can't deal with this on my own and that I actually do need help. And I'm actually not equipped for it. And you know, that was an interesting thing to admit at the time, because for a while I always thought, like, if I can't figure it out on my own, it feels like it's a weakness, right? I don't want to say that it's like an attack on my pride or anything, but it's like it just made me feel like I wasn't capable. It made me feel like I wasn't ready to do whatever I was going to do. Like I wasn't a man, or I wasn't smart enough for math, or I wasn't as good at this certain thing that I thought I was. You know, it was really inhibiting in those ways, because every time that I would try and ask for help and do all that, it was like it was like in the back of my head, it was just this feeling of weakness and desperation. But it wasn't really like that, you know? Of course, there is a difference, I will say. Before we get too far, we have to acknowledge that if you're gonna half-ass your math lesson, or if you're gonna half-ass anything and you just go off and beg the teacher for questions or beg the teacher for help, then that's different, because that's desperate, that's weak, that's not qualified, you're not qualified, that's bad. But when you give it all that you can, and you go at it to the point where you feel like you've hit a plateau and you can't go much further without just banging your head against the wall, then it's fine. It's fine. Ask for help. Ask for help. Because at that point, you've expelled all your resources. And at that point, you know, I can't deal with this on my own. I've tried my hardest. I can't deal with it on my own. And that's not a weakness. To be able to admit that. That's not a weakness. But for the longest time, I thought it was. And it always felt weird, you know. It always inhibited me, that I just felt like I just was disgracing myself, ruining my image. I'm not like that, but I always took pride on being able to solve things on my own. So asking for help was kind of just not on my list. Never really occurred to me. But anyway, like I was saying, I've had these experiences recently, and it's showed me that, you know, in reality, I can't figure it all out. I can't do it. I can figure a good chunk of it out, but I can't figure it all out, you know? I can't do everything. I can't do everything, but I can do some things. So instead of banging my head against the wall trying to do everything, you know, maybe I should just prioritize what I can do. Because here's the thing. There will always be someone more experienced and more equipped in a certain thing than you. There will always be someone who's better at it. There's always going to be someone who knows something that you don't. There's always going to be someone who has one of those. That is a fact. That's a hard fact. And you know, it's hard to accept, because you know, you kind of want to be able to do everything on your own sometimes, right? At least that's how it is for me. I want to be able to do everything on my own. I want to be able to figure things out on my own. And I don't really want to have those moments to ask for help. But the harsh reality is, I can't do it, nor can you, nor can anyone. We can't do everything on our own. We can't. There will always be someone better. There will always be someone who we probably should be asking for help, whether it be a teacher, whether it be a parent, whether it be a friend. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be someone who can help us through a certain situation that we can't help ourselves through. And likewise for them too. I'll have to add that as well. this doesn't mean that you're dumb and that everyone else has something that you don't and that you just need to be a leech off their life. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying instead is we are all gifted in certain ways that the rest of us aren't. You and me as well. I have something you don't, you have something I don't. So if I ask you for help, it's because you have something that I don't. But that doesn't mean that you can't ask me for help, because I have something that you don't too. We can do the same thing back and forth. This doesn't mean that someone's more special than you or you're less special than everyone else. No, we're all special in a certain way. But we need to accept that we can't be everything. We can maybe be like a good chunk of a few things, or maybe we could be a little of a lot. That's true. But we can't go around trying to be the best at everything. There will always be someone better, and you need to recognize that. That's the harsh reality of it. And so when I was going through those times with anxiety and all that, I realized that I'm not the best equipped for that. That reality was a little harsh because it made me feel once again like I was too weak and like I couldn't deal with it on my own. So how could I be a man? How can I be a man if I can't deal with it on my own? It was really a hard place to be in, but I've come to find that it's stupid to think like that. It really is. Because like I just said, there's always someone who's going to be able to help you through something that you can't help yourself through. But that's not the only thing. It's just that sometimes we aren't fully there yet. We aren't fully there yet to deal with anxiety on our own, to deal with an issue on our own, to make something on our own, to do anything on our own. Sometimes we just aren't there yet, and we need the help. But like I said before, you can't half-ass it and then be like, oh, I need help, but I haven't really tried. You have to give it your full. But once you give it your full and you can't do it, there's no shame in asking for help. There's always someone better, and you're that person too. So for what it is, there's no shame in asking for help. There's nothing about it that's wrong. There's nothing about it that's weak. It takes a brave person to step up and admit their weakness to someone and say, I need your help because I can't do it. I've tried my best and I can't do it. It takes a brave person to do that. It takes a weak person to hide and to stand there for 8 hours doing the same goddamn math lesson. You can't be that. You can't be that guy. That's weak. You don't want to do that. You really don't. You want to be the guy who's willing to accept his flaws, that's willing to accept, I have a weakness, and that I need help. You want to be that person. And it's going to be a little hard at first, I'll tell you that, because once you have a mindset like I can do whatever I want to do on my own, it's a really empowering one, but it's hard to get rid of, right? Because no matter what you do, at least for me, I've always been able to figure it out on my own, just not in the most timely manner, but I've always been able to do it. So it's like no matter what I do, that's always in the back of my mind. I'm always like, I've been able to do this before. I've been able to do things just like this before. I might be able to do it if I just push for an extra hour. And if I keep inching, and if I let that happen, I'll just keep inching and inching hour after hour. And then I got these 8-hour math lessons that I can't deal with. So, point is, it will take some practice, but there really is no shame in asking for help. We aren't the best at everything. There are people who are better at certain things than us. We need to accept that. And furthermore, if someone comes to you someday asking for your help, you should be happy that they do that, because they have accepted their flaws and they have admitted it to you, and they have well, it's not even flaws. I'll say that too. It's not really even flaws. It's just a weakness, or not even really a weakness. It's just something that they don't have. And it's not a bad thing, but we all view it that way. So when someone admits that to you and says, I can't do it, I don't have it, you do, and I need your help. When someone does that, you should be super happy. Super, super happy. You should be willing to help in most cases, not in all cases. Let's say you have, you know how to make a bomb, and your buddy asks you, how do I make a bomb? I need you to make me a bomb. Well, I mean, maybe you shouldn't do that. But let's say your friend is struggling with mental health and he can't figure it out on his own. There you go. Now that's something much more happy to deal with rather than a bomb. But my point is, there's no shame. There's no shame. That's really it. There's no shame. That's my point. We can't be afraid of these things when we could rather just ask someone, or when we could just ask a teacher, ask a friend, ask a parent, and get it fixed way quicker rather than bat our heads against the wall. At least that's the way I've been trying to do it now. Because once again, I'm in grade 12. I don't have the time for this. I was just doing my math lessons the other day, and it was it's a little hard. I've already spoke to my teacher, and she said that this first unit is the hardest unit because of just the accumulation of all these new formulas and these new terms and all this new stuff. It's going to be a little harder than the other ones. And I was talking to her about it, and I was like, I don't know how much I'm really getting it. And it's taken a long time. It took a like, I was doing my 8-hour math lessons and such. And I was telling her, like, I don't know how much I can maintain this. But last year I would not have said that. Last year I would not have said that. And I would not have gotten the result that my teacher gave me. She gave me this YouTube channel to go look at. I've had this one before. It's the Organic Chemistry Teacher, if you've ever heard about their channel. Because they're quite famous in the ways of math, I hear, when it comes to the resources handed out for the curriculum. So she gave me a YouTube channel to go look at for this, and she provided me with a textbook for it. So I'm going to try and use this a little more than, like, just alongside her lessons. But and I'm sure it'll help me a ton, right? Because I've actually gone ahead and said, I can't figure it out. I need help. And so now I've got the help, right? So I'm sure it'll work. But last year I would not have done that. I would have just stood there and took it for 8 hours a day, and that's not better. That's not great. That's really not good. So I'm glad that I did, and this whole thing is working great so far. You know, I can't spend 8 hours on this stuff anymore, and I can't sit there dwelling on my anxiety. I can't do all these things. I can't do all these negative things that are taking up my space. I need to just open up and admit that I can't do certain things. I need to get out of that mindset. And I think everyone should too. Because it's a healthier way to live your life, knowing that you can't do it all, even if you want to. Anyway, thank you for joining today. This lesson, it's a funny one, a hard one for me to admit. Not really. A hard one for me to do sometimes, but I'm getting there, and I hope that it helps you too, because so far it's been great for me. Just as I said with my teacher and all that, it's been great for me so far. So I'm sure it'll help you a ton as well. My challenge for you today, though, is to just take a moment to realize your weaknesses. They're not really weaknesses, but just realize things that you struggle on. Take a moment to think about what you struggle on. Say it could be something in school, could be something like anxiety, something in life. It could be literally anything. Just take a moment to think about that and accept that it is not a bad thing. One day you might have to ask for help. You might even have to go do that today. If you do, that's fine. But one day you're going to probably have to ask for help on that thing, whether it be some class in school, whether it be something you're dealing with, an issue in your life, whether it be something you're making, something you're doing. You might have to ask for help one day. You might not be able to do it all on your own. So just remember, just do this right here, right now. Accept that it is not a thing to be ashamed of, so that when that day comes, you'll be fine. I guarantee you, it'll take so much weight off your shoulders. Don't get that whole pride thing where it's like I'm a lesser man if I dare ask for help. That is the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen. And I never really followed it like it was gospel. I just I just like kind of naturally went with it because I felt like I was undermining my own achievements. And I don't know, I always felt that way, but I wasn't exactly ever told it, you know? I just kind of made it up on my own terms. I made it up in my head, but that's the funny part. It's just made up. It's not even real. Nobody said it. And even if anyone did, they aren't right. It doesn't matter. It isn't true. You're not less of a man for this. You're not less of a woman. You're not less of a human. You're just the same. or if not more. Anyway, that's all. I hope this helps you a ton. Don't fear asking questions. Don't fear asking for help. Don't fear this stuff. Just relax. It really isn't that bad. Hope this helps you a ton. Take care, my friend.